Hello guys, I'm so happy to make another video, another YouTube video. This is just further information and more research on my ability of telepathy. Today, the reason I've been wanting to make a more professional video for you guys so that you could have a better experience and capture more better knowledge than what I have been giving you as little by little through my video that I have made on YouTube. Please, I ask of you to subscribe, to press like, for the simple fact that it is going to allow me to know how my information is being transcended or being comprehended by viewers. I'm also trying to better myself and my vocabulary and my knowledge of better speaking and grammar so that I could fit your comprehension and understanding and a way of thinking to bring it to an enhancement of a better paradigm. Now, the reason basically what I am writing or what I am making this video is because I have had an experience last night which has confirmed me that I am able to connect with the other side, which I mean the other side is the dead. I have been hesitating to say this because I have no proof. I've been wanting to get proof before I could say it. I wanted to get a video where that I am seen communicating with a ghost, or at least having paranormal experience towards a ghost. But let me start talking what I want to talk, because I don't want to make this video as long as is going as I tend to make a full summary of my experience. But I want to give you a more comprehension of my vision and my experience on ghosts. So first, I want to talk about this book. This book is from Dean Raiden. I am very disappointed. I had more high standards on him, as he has the capability of funds and more awareness towards psychic people. But the reason that I am so disappointed is because that he has focused on meditation, on yoga, and Dalai Lama, a monk, a Buddhist monk, and he's more on Sid, which is a religion, and I mean, I'm not going to say that it is not extraordinary about them, because their belief brings them to a capability of learning how to use their energy. But it's not something out of the beyond, as I have explained it in my videos, that the first key or the key substance is silence, learning how to control your body. And this has been knowledge that has been going on through generations towards them, because they have the capacity, because they learn how to control their body. They learn silence. They learn how to be quiet, to keep their mind blank. And even through when they cross their legs like this, their legs become sleepy, or their legs feel fuzziness, and it disturbs their concentration when you are a beginner in meditation. But as you go longer and longer, you learn to what? To block the pain, to block the feeling. And once you learn to block the feeling, you are learning how to control your mind. Because when you have a virus, a disease, when you have pain or you have hurt yourself, automatically your reptilian part of your brain, your instincts of your brain, sends a message to that part, to your immune system, to attack that pain, to attack that venom, to attack that disease. If your immune system is able to attack it, or if it's able to heal it, that is a totally different question. But this is one step towards understanding of meditation, of what it is meditation, of how they learn to use their energy, because you have an oracle. Everyone has an aura around them. They have energy because your blood flow, it goes from inside your heart and it goes all the way to your feet, and it comes back to your right feet and then through your left feet, and it comes back into your heart. So it makes a circular motion. And when you have an a substance that is holding energy and is going in a circular motion, or that it is having that circular motion like a generator or a alternator, it becomes magnetic. That's the reason that why we are able, because the world is round and we're not walking flat, but we're walking like this, because this is the North Pole, this is the South Pole. People do not live in the North Pole. People do not live in the South Pole because it is too cold. So if we're living in the equator, we're walking like this. So what is that? The magnetic of your body and the magnetic of the earth, of the core of the earth, joins each other, and that's why you're able to walk like that. And something simple, if you want to examine if you do have a force field, I go like this. And what happens is you're going to have friction and you are making energy. Once you come together, you can feel a magnetic, you can feel the energy, you can feel it automatically, you can feel it to a certain point when you get close. And it's already proven scientifically that if you rub yourself, you make friction, you make hot. Because why? Because the friction, the energy, when you have an energy, you make heat. Heat comes out of energy also. So that is something that you have to understand, what these Buddhists, these Hindu people, or these Sikh people, they have done. Because I have not practiced Buddhist. I do not believe I am. I want to be a fully Muslim. I always believed in the Creator. I read the Bible as a young age. I was born in Catholic, but I never believed in Catholic because how am I going to go to a priest and talk to this person who he is just a human, and I have my Creator. I always felt something wrong with the Catholic church inside of me, and then after Catholic, I became a Christian. Because I always believed in Jesus Christ, and because of Allah brought me to Islam. My vision, my ability brought me to Islam. I had a vision, which one of my visions was I saw the Christians, I saw the Jews marching, and I said, where do I belong? And a hand came out of the sky, and it said, these are your people, this is where you belong, these are your people, they will help you to get to where you need to get. Unfortunately, it hasn't been going exactly how I expected it, because I expected it to be more easier. I expected it, because it said these people are going to help you to get to where you need to go. And I want to go to Mecca, and I want to pray for a whole day, a whole night, and then go to the desert like my vision. And if my vision is true, well, something is going to happen extraordinary, which I am going to go to a cave and go through a cave. When I reach the other side of the cave is the world has changed from my vision, or I'm going to die in the desert. Because desert, there's no food, no water. But anyways, I believe in my Creator. That's something personal. I'm just sorry I got off track right there. So what I'm trying to make you understand is that I don't believe in Buddhism. I don't believe in Sith. I don't believe in witchcraft. I don't believe in satanic. Even though I have had experience of people who know satanic, as I was in the past an ex-member of MS-13, and MS-13, they have a lot of satanic people, and they do a lot of things of satanic people. So I had knowledge about them, about what their belief and how they structure, but I never believe in black magic, voodoo. I don't, even as a psychic, because I have telepathy, I know that I can summon demons, and I could use these things for my benefit through the Ouija board. But the Ouija board is very dangerous. I recommend any psychic do not touch the Ouija board. The Ouija board should be not played with. If you want to learn more about the negative outcome of the Ouija board as a psychic person, you can read this book, which is 30 Years Among the Dead by Dr. Wicklin, which Wicklin had a wife who was a medium, and he made his wife play the Ouija board as an experience, and it opened a portal, and spirits started just entering her. And I mean, it was a very terrible experience for her, because she was not able to close it for 30 years. She had these ghosts or these spirits entering her body. So if you want to read more about that, you can find more information about that. So Dean Radin has talked about this and has promoted Buddhism, has promoted Sith, which in my belief, I don't believe in none of that, and I stay strongly away. And it's very interesting of how they neglect the Bible, how they neglect the Quran, how they neglect the Torah, or the spirit, the energy of these people. But this is where my research comes in, which I want to also do an EEG on Christians, on Jews, and on Muslims. Basically, mostly on Muslims, but I just want to see if they have a coherence on what is called the faith. So my ability allows me to see people, or better understand, or have a better analysis on the goodness of people. So that's going to help me, and it's very interesting. It does have some good things. I'm not going to say that it is all bad. It has great information. It's just because of my belief and my ability, which I have telepathy. I'm connected to everything in the world and the other life. That's why later on I'm going to explain that. But it's very interesting of what Dean Radin says, because he neglects the other religions, and he's focusing on Buddhism. And a lot of psychics aren't Buddhists, or they don't practice meditation or do yoga. So when you talk about ESP, when you talk about psychic people, you can't be talking about Buddhism. If you're talking about learning how to use your energy, meditation is very good. I'm not going to lie. And yoga is good for yoga learns how to use your respiration system, and using your respiration system and using meditation, it all combines to enhancing yourself. But you do not have to practice Buddhism. All you have to do is just learn how to be silent. You can sit down, you can lay down on the bed and just learn to be silent, to hear that sound, because you have a frequency. Your brain talks in frequency. There is a frequency around you, and you can listen to that frequency. And that's when you learn the first step of being more aware and mindfulness. I'm sorry, I'm getting too much talk about, and I want to be able to put this on YouTube. So, and in order for me to even give you more proof of what I am saying, I am going to present to you a person called Alice Tansen, which this is the guy. Is very interesting, and I recommend his book. I love his book. I love his work. You can see it on YouTube. His daughter has a foundation also, which this is one of the guys that it gave me momentum, and I want to thank you, Allison, his daughter, for sending me his information, because listening and reading his book made me motivate to use my ability for good. When I mean for good, is for good of humanity, as research, as having a better understanding on psychic, on paranormal experience, and what is reality and what is not reality, towards the consciousness of, or better said, the paradigm of what society wants us to think, and what we should think. Because it's very interesting. This guy, he is a Catholic, and I mean, he had a very terrible experience. They did an exorcism as a child, and it's so fascinating. And I recommend you reading his book, buying his book. It's very good, and look at him up in YouTube. He has great information, great understanding on what it is. And so this is what brings me back to the subject of what it is, the Bible, because the Bible, the Quran, the Torah talks about us psychics not being able to be affiliated or be founded with them, for the simple fact that, as an experience of Alex Towson, he had a very bad experience, which when we talk about exorcism, we're talking about torture. That's what the Catholic Church does. It has been doing this for years. If you look at the history of how they get people evilness out of them, there's levels of how they do it. But he went through torture, and the Catholics rejected him because of his ability. They thought he was possessed of a demon or a spirit from not of this world. And it brings me back to the question of how can a psychic have belief in the Bible like him, or me, that I'm a believer in Muslim. I believe in the Quran. I believe in Islam. And so where does Jesus go in? Because he had abilities he knew the future. He was able to heal people. And it's not only that, it's what is the difference? What is the substance of the difference between Jesus, between Peter, between Elijah, between all these prophets, and a psychic person? Because in the Bible, it has a very interesting part where Paul was walking, and this psychic person was like, this is the servant of the creator, this is the servant of the creator, this is the servant of the creator. How did that person know that he was the servant of the creator? And the person was not lying. And Paul put his hand and said, get out of her, spirit of not of this world. And the spirit came out. And I've been, like I said, on my other videos, I explained that experience to you guys, of me trying to find help. And even to this day, I am trying right now to have an exorcism through Muslims, inshallah, because I want to be a Muslim. I don't care about my abilities. I don't care the capability. What I want is to follow the Creator and submit my will to His will. So anyway, so here comes my visions, which I want to explain. As a child, I have had visions. I have had experiences which, like, I'll give you one experience. When I was 5 years old, when I was 5 years old, there was, well, I thought it was a dream, but unfortunately, it wasn't a dream all my life, because my uncle told me we had this white horse, and I went back to my country. I saw the house, I saw everything just like I saw it, well, as I thought it was a dream. So I was 5 years old. I asked my grandfather, I want to use the bathroom. And he said, go, you're old enough to go by yourself. And it was dark. It was like midnight. I remember it was a full moon, and I was scared. So I didn't go to the bathroom, but there was a horse near us, where the front of the gate was. So I went to urinate in front, next to the horse, when all of a sudden I saw four shadows. The first shadow was like a witch, and with the pointy hat. And then the second shadow, it had a tail. It was like the satanic, I forget what they call it, like half goat, half man. So I saw that. And the third one was giant. He was just big. Understanding, or a better image that I could give you, like Frankenstein or something like that. And then the fourth one, it was like a blob, or like a sea monster, something. Like, it didn't have legs. It was just big and blobby, and I mean, I didn't see no arms, nothing. It was just like something, a sea monster, a blob. Well, the second one, it turned around. It turned around, and it saw me, and it smiled. So that was my first experience. Then, at the age of 7, when I was already here in the United States, I was living in Maryland, in Trimbrook. And when I was living in Maryland, in Trimbrook, I watched this movie, which was Freddy Krueger. I don't know if you remember. It was so it scared me, and my mother was like, "Don't watch it." But I watched it because it was going to scare you, and I watched it. And when I was watching, after I watched it, I wanted to go to sleep, but I was scared. I wanted to sleep with my mom. My mom said no. I asked my uncle if I could sleep. He said no. So I stood up all night, just standing up there. But when I went to sleep, I saw this house, like Animeville, an example of Animeville. I saw the house. When I entered inside the house, there was satanic things of the five-pointed star with the goat in the middle, things, but with blood. It was all written with blood. So the door closed. When the door closed, I felt something upstairs, and it was coming. And I ran to the basement. And in the basement, there was there was four furnace on each side. There was fireplaces, right? Like, yeah, furnace fireplaces. I don't know what you want to call it, but there was fire going on, three of them on each side. So I ran on the last one. I ran to all the way to the corner, and I just was just like so scared, and I was in the fetal position, and I could hear it walking upstairs, and it was an image of the goat's feet and the abdominal part of his body, which you could see a little bit of hair, but it was more like muscle. I couldn't see the face, but I could see I remember until the abdominal part of his body, and the legs were like goats. And he was coming down the stairs, and it was slowly coming down the stairs. When he was coming down the stairs, fire just, I mean, it was an enormous fire. I mean, it was flame like a blowtorch was just coming from both sides. It started from the first furnace and the first fireplace, and then it went to the second, and then it went to the third. So all three of them was just bursting with fire. I mean, but enormous fire. I mean, it was powerful fire, So that was my second dream, or my second experience with that same image. And then it comes to my vision, which I have had my vision, and in my vision, I go to hellfire. And when I go to hellfire, I reach to hellfire, and when I'm there, I see these, I call them the eyes of hell. And it was like these little creatures. They was on the caves on top, and they was like, he's here, he's here, he's here, he's here. And I put my hand out, and some shininess came out of my hand, and they just spattered, and the noise went out. And then what is very interesting is that in the Quran, it talks about in hell that there are people who are chained by their neck. And I was behind a cliff in a rock, hiding in the rock, and I saw this beast, or this demon, right? He had horn, and he was fat, and he had a whip, and these people had chains around his neck, and they did not have no eyes. Their eyes were just white, and they were just moaning. And he said, and he would whip them, and he said, serve the devil like you have served them in the world. And they would just, and they went through this cave. And it was so interesting, because in the Quran it talks about these people who have chains around their neck. And I saw it, and this is before I even read the Quran. This was in 2000, my vision. So after, I also saw in my vision, like, there's this fire but it's green. And in the Bible, in the Torah, it talks about the Jews, that they brung this green fire in front of the Creator in the ark, and the Lord just sapped them and killed them off. Well, I saw that green fire, but it's not fire, it's spirits. But it looks like fire, but it's spirits, and they're just crying and moaning, and I mean, it's horrible. Just listening to it is horrible. It's terrible. But like I said, this is my vision, or my dream, right? So anyways, I kept going through, and when I went through it, I'm not going to tell you my whole vision, but when I went through it, I saw the dead tree. And I have read on a Gloth, which is like a Christian Orthodox book, and the Gloth book told me that the dead tree is at the most bottomless, at the most profound part of hellfire. So I saw this dead tree. It was there, and I would see smoke all over it. Once I saw smoke, I saw the image of the half goat and half man. But this time, I don't remember exactly his face, but I did see his face, and he had a sword. He had a sword, and the sword had things written on his sword. It's very interesting because, and even the smoke, because in the Bible and Revelation talks about when the Antichrist opens the door of hellfire, there's going to be smoke in it. So I mean, where's these? I don't know. It's just very interesting. So the smoke was there. The image of the satanic was there, and he had a sword where it was written. Something was written, and we fought. And anyways, so that was my visions and my experience with this image of the satanic. I don't know, Satan. I call him Satan. I call him devil. So it's very interesting towards that. But my paranormal experience doesn't stop there. When I came out, because when I have had other paranormal experience, as they call this a carejo, a dog in El Salvador. They call it a dog, and it was in two. No, I'm sorry. It was in 1992 that I went to El Salvador, and it was midnight again, and there's a cemetery in San Sebastian, San Vicente. That's the place where my hometown, where I was born at. And there's a cemetery, and there's, like, in front of the cemetery is my grandparents' house, and I was visiting my family members. So I was going through the cemetery. I came from a party. It was the festival. I came from the festival, and it was already midnight. And when I was walking through it, I saw a big, huge dog. And when the dog had red eyes, and he was bigger, he was almost the same size as me, or bigger than me, as I could see it, or as I remember it. And I just took off my shirt, because I have always been a person who is willing to fight. I'm not scared if it's 40 men, 30 men. I don't care what it is. I'll fight it. I'm dumb like that. Excuse me. So I wrapped my shirt around my arm, and I said, I'm gonna put my arm in his mouth, and I'm just gonna punch him with my my right arm as hard as I can. So he just looked at me, and once I passed him, I started running. Once I started running, I just heard like a horse, and I ran. I didn't even look back. I ran. When I got to my grandmother's house, I started hitting the door so that they couldn't open it. When I looked back, I saw a horse with red eyes and a man on it with no head. I just started hitting the door like crazy, like I was a lunatic, And my grandparents whipped my butt that day because of that. Let me tell you. So that was one of my experience, and another experience, which was recently in 2013 when I came out of the Salvadorian jail. I had nowhere to live because I changed my life. I was no longer an ex-gang member, and that's what I'm trying to do. As I told you on my other videos, I'm trying to recuperate my life. I'm trying to look for asylum, but because of my problem with the Interpol warrant, and I have, anyways, I'm sorry, I have explained this, but I had nowhere to live. I had nowhere to sleep. And El Salvador is filled with gangsters. The gangs, they control the neighborhoods. They control, I mean, basically El Salvador. So I didn't. That's why my family closed their doors on me, because I was an ex-gang member, and the gang was going to kill me. And if whoever they found me with, they would kill them too. So I went into this river where it's called Machacal, right? It's just pure woods. I was looking somewhere where I could hide myself and not be able to be seen by people, so that they would tell the MS where I'm at. Because as soon as a stranger comes in, MS finds out. So I went into. I had thirst, right? But the water is very dirty. So I put my hands on the water, and I just put water on my lips, just to take off the thirstiness on my lips. And all of a sudden, I just heard a sound, and just go. "Rrrr." And I was looking. I thought it was a dog, and I would look all around, and I couldn't see no dog. I couldn't see nothing. So then after that, since I didn't see nothing, and it kept doing it, but then it stopped, and I went up the hill through this waterfall, and I went up, I climbed up the waterfall, and up the waterfall, I slept. There was a tree, and I slept right there. No one could see me. No one saw me entering. So I went up there, climbed up there, and I went to sleep. So I woke up like midnight. No, it was like around 1. I'm sorry, it was like around 1, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta right now at 1 o'clock. Everyone's going to sleep right now." They stop because like they have posts, they have people watching the streets. The MS, they have watching the streets to if and anyone who's out there at that time. So at that time, I was like, "Oh, they're about to go to sleep." So I was walking down the hill, and when all of a sudden I heard "Rrrr" again out, and I got scared, because that was it was already twice in the evening, and then now at midnight I heard that again. I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I mean, this is something extraordinary. I'm not so used to it. So I went over there, and I was looking. I was like, I went back up, and I fell asleep a little bit long. I was like, okay, I went back up. I went to sleep. So, and I was telling myself, I believe in the Creator. I don't believe in devil. The Creator save me, help me. Allah. And so I always had something that I always told myself. It was already like around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I said, because if I left later, I wouldn't be able to come back, or someone, the MS, could find out, that I'm in town. So I had to leave early. So I always said to myself, I will walk through the valley of death and fear no evil. So I said, I will walk through the valley of death, and I will fear no evil. And I started walking. And let me tell you, I heard this sound and just go, eek, eek, eek. Oh man, it scared me. I went back up. It scared me because I remember they have a tale called La Carreta Chillona in El Salvador. So I was like, oh my goodness, La Carreta Chillona. But but then I was like, I have no choice. This is life or death. Whichever way I look at it, I'm going to die, or I'm going to have a bad experience. So I grabbed two rocks. And then I saw the shadow just running across the street, and I was like, "Oh my goodness! Is the MS is early? They're out." I said, "It's MS," and I was like, I thought they had guns, and I had the rocks ready to throw the rocks. What I mean, it's survival. So finally I passed that part and I got to the bridge. When I got to the bridge, it was so funny because I got to the bridge and there was this guy with a bicycle, right? And he was selling bread, but I didn't know at the time. I just saw the guy with the bicycle at the other side of the bridge, and I was one side of the bridge, and we was just looking at each other for like 15 minutes. We was just looking at each other like something, you know what I mean? Hey, what's this or what's that? And finally, after 15 minutes, I took my first step and he took his first step, and slowly we crossed each other's paths. So that was my other experience. Well, last night, the reason I'm doing this because I wanted to go and videotape a ghost and experience what the interaction was going to be or how I was going to feel about the ghost. But last night, I watched this video about this ghost, and I was like, these people are making up this video. These people, because like I said, I don't believe in witchcraft. I don't believe in ghosts. So I was like, man, even when telepathy, when I first became, I didn't believe in telepathy. I mean, all these superstitious stuff. I was a skeptic person. Until my ability came out to the public, and I am learning, and I have to learn how to close the connection. So what I want to say is that I was looking at this video and I was listening, and the demon said that I was smart, because I was trying to, I was listening to the video, but I was just like, I can't believe it. You know what I mean? It was just so weird. And I was trying to listen because I know that I was like, if I'm connected, if I'm connected and everything is true, you know what I mean? Then they're able to communicate. I should be able to listen to some type of message, to some reaction, and boom, there it was. He said I was smart, because I was trying to listen to him. I was trying to connect, So that was the first one, but I didn't believe that a video because it just had too much fake stuff, right? So I went and I saw another video, because it was like linked to that video, right? So I saw that video, and that video, I don't know, right? But I felt it. I felt it so, it was so weird. It was so weird. It felt real. You know what I mean? It felt real. And then after that, I felt a spirit in my room, right? But see, supposedly, right? Supposedly in my vision, I'm able to put whatever I want into their mind. I'm able to control them, supposedly, right? And that's what so scares me so much, because in my vision, the devil tells me, sit and take revenge. And I didn't understand at first, take revenge, but I understand now. See, the men, everyone could see my body. Now, as a man, you're going to be jealous because your wife can see my body. I can understand that, right? I can understand that. And so they want to see my wife, right? And I don't want that. And we're having confliction right there. You know what I mean? And they're talking about raping, my daughter. They're talking about raping my my wife, and I'm talking about doing, finding the truth, and that if my vision is true, that I am going to go to hellfire, that I can change one person from one punishment and change them to another punishment. I'm going to put them in the worst punishment that hellfire exists. Like I said, I'm not scared. I look at facts. I look at what I really can do and what I really cannot do. I am not going to speak of what I cannot do, and I'm not going to speak out of my boundary. So it's very interesting because, I mean, even though, I like, he was like, sit down, the Satan was like, sit down and take revenge. And I saw MS, and I saw the police officers of the Salvadorian jail, because they did mind games on me, and they messed me up, and I mean, it was so terrible. But that's another story. You're gonna have to read my book to find out about what happened. My true experience, it was most terrible, and that's why my research, because I want to make sure that this never happens to no one, and that any psychic or anyone who needs help, you will find it through video, you will find it through my book, you will find help through audio. And may Allah protect you, and may Allah help you and guide you through whatever terrible things, that because human beings can be so terrible. So the devil, he's like, take revenge. And he showed me in the room, and like, they go into the room, and I mean, they do some nasty, despicable things to them. So I screamed and I said, no. And and when I screamed, all of a sudden I just saw fire. I was no longer with MS, and there was a table, and it was all beautiful and nice, no longer. Now I just saw fire. And the devil came to my ear, and he whispered, he says, I will show you how to use your power. I want you to lead my army. And I saw but millions and billions. I mean, there was in like, there was like in land that was flying, and it was shadows. And the Quran, it talks about this. The Quran talks about, there's these things, they call them jinns, right? And they're shadows, and something just came out of my head, and all of them were active and ready for war. I didn't understand that, but now I understand, because I'm connected to everyone. I'm connected to every human being. I'm so happy that I found Islam. Even though I have to learn more and I have to change a lot, and Islam is very hard, because they submit their will to the Creator's will. So it's very hard. So basically, this is my experience, towards ghosts. I want to have better explanation of how can we fight them, because this has been written, and not only in Jew, not only in Christian, not only in Catholic, but also in Buddhism, also in Hinduism, about this other world, about these other creatures. So we have to learn how to fight. We have to learn their substance. We have to learn what can we do to protect ourselves towards these things. And that's why I'm making this video. So I was just thinking that this is a very important thing, because it gives, now that I have had this experience last night, it gives my proof that yes, I am connected to them, also to everything that exists. So my friends, it's going to have to be your decision if you think I'm the Antichrist or you think I'm the Dajjal. All I know is that I have the telepathy, and that I have to use my ability for the right cause and not for the wrong. Have a wonderful day.